Why are victims protecting the identity of horrible bosses, companies? I see a lot of people sharing their texts, telling stories about their conversations with horrible bosses, and sharing forms, notices, documents from their companies. Yet in every single one of them, the name appears to be blurred or wiped out or never mentioned. Why? Fear of reprisal. It's easy for a well-off or wealthy company to ruin the life of someone who has no means of defense against such things. Defamation suits are crazy. It's absurdly broad. You can sue even if it doesn't identify you by name. Like saying, "My last workplace." To avoid legal pursuits? Legal liability. Not all states have libel, defamation laws protecting the rightful victims. Companies usually have a fleet of lawyers and elongate the process and bury you with legal fees. You can't afford to have a lawyer for years. Not sure anyone else mentioned this, but doxing is also against Reddit's terms of service, and sharing personal info like that is against the rules on the sub. I don't think anyone really wants to get banned or get this sub shut down for too many complaints filed by the Reddit overlords. The name appears to be blurred or wiped out or never mentioned. Why? People don't want to get blackballed. Leaking conversations with superiors or internal documents can do that. Because this is a huge sub and they are showing texts that the employers can find on this sub and fire or sue them. Reddit has a site-wide rule against posing personal information. https www.reddithelp.com/hc/enos/articles/3600430666452. In keeping silent about evil, in burying it so deep within us that no sign of it appears on the surface, we are implanting it, and it will rise up 1,000-fold in the future, when we neither punish nor reproach evildoers. We are not simply protecting their trivial old age. We are thereby ripping the foundations of justice from beneath new generations. Alexander I. Solzhenitsyn, The Gulag Archipelago. Additionally, we have rules for not sharing private identifiable information in those subs. Because most posts on this sub are made-up events, you'll notice that people are telling you it's to avoid lawsuits. But at the same time, some people on here straight up take pictures of random workers without their consent with no problem because they wore a work shirt that triggered the op. Also, the news always seems to have some story about a worker who exposes their job. Hell, even on TikTok videos, but somehow these people here, with their blatantly explosive stories, just can't share anything? Because most of them are karma farmers. Because people have been brainwashed into thinking that they will somehow be sued for mentioning the name of the company where they worked. It's nonsense. Defamation only applies to malicious lies. Several reasons have already been mentioned by others. Also, it's in general not good for your career if your next employer knows you have harmed the reputation of your previous employer. Apart from checking references, many employers nowadays check social media postings. Your next employer could be reluctant to hire you, especially if there are other candidates, thinking you could do the same to him in the future for whatever disagreement. I got an advice decades ago: never talk bad about your previous employer during interviews. I don't know how it is today, but I believe that advice I got in the past have helped me in my career. If you're staying in the industry, you never know who you may end up working with again. I could badmouth my current employer something fierce because this subreddit would have a field day with it, but I run the risk of making a future job difficult for myself because I've talked badly about people I've worked with. They are also protecting their own identity in some cases, I imagine. I imagine that in many cases, especially with smaller companies, revealing the employer's identity would also risk revealing the poster's identity. And maybe they would simply prefer to remain anonymous. Or maybe they just don't want to escalate the situation by inadvertently sending a bunch of Redditors to start harassing people or brigading reviews. This could easily get out of control and have unintended consequences. Likely there is no one single reason. Sometimes it's a fear of legal, civil reprisal. Sometimes that boss company is the only major employer in an area and calling them out could affect chances for future employment. It really is like living with an abusive partner. Living with fear of retaliation even after leaving the relationship. Because a lot of them are fake posts. Because this is the internet. Some of these stories are just BS.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.